Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending this year's first meeting of the Statewide Independent Living Council. Happy New Year. I'm glad you guys were able to attend. First thing we want to do is our roll call. Don, you want to take care of that?
I sure can. This is Dawn Lyons. Julie Weissman Steinbaugh is our chair, and she is excused absence today. Evander Davis,
Here.
Sabra McWhorter Clark,
Here.
Margaret Marcucci,
Here.
Linda Voivoda,
Here.
Peter Whittingham. I did not see him. Obioma Officer,
Here.
Ashley Crow,
Here.
Sheena Childers,
Here.
and Lori Lutu.
Here.
And we are all here except for Peter, I think, and Julie.
Great. Now, if you will read that thing that we all have to read for public comment.
I sure will. Oh, here comes Peter too. Okay. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 1-253-215-8782 US Tacoma. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 929-904-1434 and passcode 707401. Comments will be allowed at the beginning and end of each day and will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Persons making comments will be asked to begin by stating their name for the record and to spell their last name and provide the secretary with written comments.
Well said, well said. Next thing we want to move on to is the approval of the November meetings minutes.
Actually, Evander, we got to actually allow the public comment now.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Anyway, is there anyone who would like to participate in the public comment period?
We have a
Please.
hand up from Molly Rose Lewis.
Okay, please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. And what was the name you said again?
I will give my name. It's Molly Rose. Last name is Lewis, Lewis. I am a staff member with Senator Jackie Rosen's office. I believe I've been on one of these calls or so before, but I just wanted to reintroduce myself. I'm back from a long maternity leave. My baby is doing great now, but I'm back. I am still the Northern Nevada Disability Community point person for Senator Rosen. I'm also now going to be covering all of our grants support letters for federal grants and doing more federal grant webinars and things like that. I'll be more of the point person on anything federal grant related. So I wanted to make sure you all knew that. I will put my contact information in the chat in case anyone would like to reach out, but that's all I've got for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Is there anyone else who would like to participate in public comment for the first session? Hearing none, Don?
I don't see any more hands up.
All right, I don't hear none. Don don't see any. So I'm going to move on to the next thing, which is the approval of the minutes for November. Is there any changes or corrections that we need to do before we get started?
You know, I did not post any minutes to our materials because I need to go back and look, but I'm not sure that I received the final copy.
Okay.
We can approve them at the next meeting.
Okay, so we're
Or if I can find them by tomorrow, we can revisit.
So we'll revisit tomorrow if we have them up, and we'll do the approval of those minutes tomorrow. next is the updates from our Center for Independent Livings and all those other great people. So, first per
Actually, Evander, the next one is member introductions and public introductions from individuals interested in council membership and member announcements.
Am I missing stuff? Sheesh. All right, one of those days. All right, let's do that part, what Don just said.
This is Dawn Lyons. I don't see anyone else's hands up yet, but I would like to welcome our new members. We have a few ex officio members that were recently appointed. I know we announced Ashley's membership last time, and we're thankful to have her. And now Sheena Childers from Book Rehab is also with us, as well as Lori Lutu from Aging and Disability Services as our DSC representative. And the brand newest member to our group here is we've just hired a new youth outreach specialist. Her name is Hyen Bang. Hyen, would you like to say a couple words and introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. And I'm looking forward to learning a lot and bringing a lot of new values that, or efforts that I put in and contribute.
This is Dawn Lyons again. Welcome, Hyen. We're so happy to finally have a youth outreach specialist on staff, and I'm very excited to be working with you on our efforts. And just so you know, Hyen has already created a new social media on Instagram. She's really hit the floor running. So great to have you on board, Hyen.
Great. Welcome to all our new members and all our interested parties. We really appreciate you guys joining us and helping to advocate for others and keeping this thing going the right way. We really appreciate that. We love working with each other and making sure that we stay close and communicate with each other. So thank you very much, everyone. And thank you so much to our new youth action. So that's going to be great. We're going to move on to our next thing, which is the updates from the Center for Independent Livings and all those things. So do we have Mary for Southern Nevada?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. I hope your holidays were wonderful. We have heard that the flu was going around over the holidays, so we hope that you were able to avoid it. With that, let me introduce myself. I know a lot of us are old group here, but it's wonderful to see new members such as Hyen Bang joining us. Welcome. And to have representatives like from Jackie Rosen's office. I am Mary Sizer. I'm the executive director for the Southern Nevada Center for Independent Living. In Nevada, we have two American with Community Living certified centers. They're the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living, and we are the Southern Nevada Center for Independent Living. We cover all of Clark County, and our sister center, the Northern Nevada, covers all the remaining 16 counties. I always say I'd rather be me than them. That's a lot of work. But with that being said, this is the first quarter of fiscal year 2025. We're hoping 25 will be even grander than 24. And with that, over the holidays, we had our usual pattern. Our service requests were decreased by 19%. Last quarter, we had 921 service requests, and the decrease was to 742, which is 19%. And that's understandable with everyone trying to get on with their holidays. However, we did see an increase in the number of intakes that we did. That did increase by 4%, even though it was the holiday season. This quarter, as I reported last quarter, the housing requests, they're not going down. what is happening is we are getting individuals with disabilities who do have a dire need for housing, who contact us about housing, but they're greatly disappointed when we tell them we don't have immediate housing, and that if they'll work with us, we can try to get them on the waiting list, try to get them through the voucher system. But as the situation becomes more dire, individuals are looking for more immediate solutions, and that we do not have. We do not have any solutions right now other than the shelters, which are running on full most of the time for housing. So, again, that's going to be one of our big goals, I think, for all of us, all of our partners, the SILC, to try to work towards finding some solutions in that capacity. Uh, Along with that, we did several outreaches this last quarter, and one of the outreach functions we were delighted to attend. We were allowed to attend a pop-up tent activity by the Homeless Alliance, where they set up it's like a pop-up tent that you would see in the mall for a new product, only it's a pop-up tent for homeless individuals who are trying to find housing and get off the streets. What we did in that capacity, we wanted to do outreach and learn from them. How do you rapidly re-enter someone who's in a desperate situation in a homeless capacity? So they're learning from us, we're learning from them. Don't want housing and homelessness to take up all of our time. We did our fair share of assisting individuals to learn how to apply for their own Social Security benefits, worked a lot with helping to guide individuals towards the types of resources that we have for transportation available in Clark County. And then again, over the holidays, we had our usual requests, a lot of folks looking for finances, looking for money. With that, we did have two individuals that we were able to prevent from going into a homeless situation. One individual, it was through no fault of her own. Her Social Security check had gotten stopped due to a glitch, so she couldn't pay her rent. But with the landlords, sometimes it's if your rent is late once, then there's a tag of a fee, then another fee and another fee, and it makes it where you can never catch up. So what we were able to do is we were able to help her to locate the resources to catch up on her rent. And we are trying to work with the landlords, trying to help to educate them that these fees are in the end hurting everyone, including themselves. So maybe when we get it to our advocacy section of all of our goals, we can maybe take a look at that. I don't know what we can do, but it's certainly worth checking into. The other individual was someone that we had helped several years ago, and we had helped her to get a voucher. She ended up moving to California. That did not work out. She moved back and then found herself again in a homeless situation. So since we had trained her before, we were able to connect with her rather quickly and work out the barriers that she was facing towards getting housing. And that sounds quick and easy. It's not. The steps that it takes just to get one person off the homeless situation and to create a preventative situation where there's a diversion, where they don't end up in the nursing home, takes a lot of work. But we're used to doing that work. But please don't think it's just we say, oh, let it be done and it happens. It's a lot of steps in between. With that, we also continue to work with our statewide initiatives, with our sister center, the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living. We're very excited about the work we're doing with the DIF, the Nevada Department of Education, and DETR, the Department of Training and Rehabilitation, and combined with the SILC, which is part of that team. Reno, their educational program is part of that team. And of course, Nevada PEP, which really makes the team by bringing in the parents and the students. So I believe we're making great progress in that. There's actually a draft of a website that's being reviewed as we speak. Then on the next project, statewide project, the disaster preparedness project is coming to fruition. Again, there's a draft of the website, and then also the first edit or the first cut of the statewide video. So that's my report for this first quarter of fiscal year 2025. We encourage our consumers to continue to work with us, to work with their independent living specialists slash advocates, to create goals and to take action steps towards meeting their goals. We are happy to be here to provide training, guidance, and support in accomplishing those goals. And with that, I am open for any questions, and thank you for your time.
All right. Do we have any questions for Mary? Hearing none. And Don, do you see anybody?
I do not see any hands up.
All right. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living. Do we have someone here to speak for them?
I don't see that Lisa's here. Is there, I don't know.
Lisa was on earlier.
All right. So we'll move on to the Rural Center for Independent Living. And if we can get Lisa back on, or if she comes back on, then we'll come back to her right after the rural. So, Dee Dee.
Will Dee
Well,
have Margaret be? Oh, okay.
She's there. She's kind of under the weather, guys.
Okay, so
I've
do you have
had
an
the
update?
flu for the last week,
Oh, that is terrible. I'm sorry to hear
so
that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing too well.
Is there
So I'm gonna
anyone who
let
can?
Margaret give her report.
All right. Well, thank you. You get up, you get some rest, and we hope you feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, during, being the holidays, I have been hit with a lot of people who need places to live, places to stay. Unfortunately, Elko does not have any. We are busting at the seams. Right now, the waiting list for any of our people is over 200. And this is just the places that we have. I've been doing a lot of work with the school district to get a lot of our kids and a lot of the adults ready to go and out to Voc Rehab. If the parents ask me, I go with them. Um, there's just I've been best one has been over to welfare with a lot of our special people, as I can call them as they tell me to make sure that right now it's renewal for food stamps, Medicaid, and taking them to Medicare to make our Social Security office to make sure they have all their ducks in a row. We keep telling them to take a deep breath because the Social Security Fairness Act went through, and the information that I received said that maybe that some of the things that they've been going through as far as their cut in benefits may come around. I don't know. I picked up 4 people just today that have called me for services. Trying to find housing is becoming really a problem. Transportation in Elko is another problem. I've been working with the Get My Ride, and I've been to a lot of city meetings and county meetings to see if we can't get something done. I don't know if Dee Dee can tell you anything else.
Uh, yeah. Let's see. I worked with a lady in December, right before Christmas started, in trans helping her transition out of the dilapidated house she was living in, that sewage literally underneath the house from the pipes leaking. The house was just starting to sink into the ground. So she was at extreme risk of going into a nursing home. We were able to transition her out of her dilapidated clapboard house into a new apartment with a caretaker that has worked out extremely well for them. As far as statistical means go, our housing is not quite so strangulated as it was before because a lot of low income places are starting to open up in the Carson City area. Lyon County is still absolutely awful. And the city of Fallon is getting is still extremely difficult to find housing in. I've worked with several veterans this quarter, and we're able to get 4 of my veterans into housing this quarter. So I'm sorry I don't have any statistical data for you because everything is at the office and I am at home laying in bed because I can't move very well because the flu is really nasty.
It is. And I forgot to tell you, I have set up the VFW and Carlin have pantries along with Wells. And we set it up so Endless Possibilities is there with food for our veterans and their animals. Any of the low income people, even they can't afford food, they have my number, they call, and I make sure the food is delivered to their house by either myself or Judy. So that's one thing we're applauding ourselves for being able to do, because without that, we wouldn't be able to, our veterans and even our low income people wouldn't be able to afford food for their animals.
That is a big issue also in Carson City with um, food for people's service animals. And I did get several calls from the Minnegardenville area for dog food and cat food. So my brain is not working too well today. So I'm going to let you go before I have a coughing attack.
All right, thank you, Rural Center for Independent Living. Did we get anyone? Did we get Lisa from Northern yet?
I didn't see anyone join from NNCIL.
So we're going to move on to the update or report for the State Assistive Technology Independent Living and /IL program.
Evander, this is Dawn Lyons. John Rosenland has asked to provide his report tomorrow because he would also like to be present for agenda item number 11.
All right, that's fine. So we're going to move on. The Nevada State Rehabilitation Council. Anybody here to give us an update on that?
So this is Dawn Lyons, and I am a member of the Nevada State Rehab Council. I did give the update at the last meeting, but if there's anything that, Sheena can think of that was discussed there that she'd like to present to the group, that I might have missed. I know you weren't there when I presented, but I didn't really have a whole lot to say. So if there's anything that stands out to you that you'd like to mention, Sheena, feel free.
This is Sheena Childers for the record. The only thing that I can probably maybe think of is the Nevada Trip website is looking to probably go live with our 3 pilot counties in April of this year. And I don't know if Dawn, you spoke to that as an update on that project, but other than that, our last meeting was in November and it was kind of winding down the calendar year, just like some of the other councils do around that time. And I can provide a more thorough update for sure, maybe tomorrow or during the next meeting.
Well, and this is Dawn Lyons. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was just curious if you had any ideas that you might want to share, because I think what I shared last time was basically that the annual report was provided by Folk Rehab Council. And so that was the biggest deal there. And then since you mentioned the Nevada Trip program, I'll go ahead and move right into that now, because that's on our list of what to update as well, if that's okay, Evander. Because not only is that website going live in April, but we're really getting going now, and it really feels like the ball's rolling in the right direction at full speed. At least that's how it feels to me. So really excited to have our youth outreach specialist beginning to get to know the other team members on the Nevada Trip crew, and having that whole progress move forward with the 3 counties that we're piloting for this year, and for last year and this year. It's really exciting to see all the pieces coming together the way they should. And according to Jennifer Kane, who I forgot to ask if she would mind coming today, but according to Jennifer Kane, we are leaders in this diff world. So out of all of the states that have received this funding, we've really taken the lead, and the Rehab Services Administration, or RSA, is really looking at us like leaders, that we can actually show other states how this is working for us so that we can be the example. So we should be proud of that.
Great, thank you. Is there anything else? Hearing none, we will move on to ADSD. Do we have someone from ADSD?
Yes, hi, this is Lori Lutu for the record. Just a few updates from ADSD. We have some competitive notice of funding opportunities that are coming up here shortly. They're going to be published in mid-January. So some of those will include the Communication Access Service Centers, which is access to services and language acquisition. The target for that is the deaf, hard of hearing, and speech disabled populations. We also have a NOFO for short, for Notice of Funding Opportunity, and NOFO for Access to Services, which is our Medicare Assistance Program. We have a NOFO, another Access to Services, which is our Nevada Care Connection Resource Centers. That includes resource and service navigation, case management, and veterans-directed care. And then all of our other services this year will be non-competitive. We are working with a vendor to get some community feedback to help us with informing any future ADSD website updates. So we're looking forward to getting some feedback on ways that the website can be better for the community as far as access. The legislative session, which I'm sure many of you are aware of, kicks off here shortly on Monday, February 3rd. There are several bills that are published already, And the governor's recommended budget has not been published yet, but we're expecting that by mid-January as well. The Division of Welfare and Supportive Services has been working on expanding the Access Nevada platform to facilitate application and referral to other DHHS programs and services. And that new platform is expected to launch in early February. And then the last update is ADSD has officially kicked off our personal care workforce project. And the goal with that project, it's an ARPA project. It aims to increase the personal care attendant workforce within our state and create a pipeline to other health professions. So we've heard a lot of feedback, which, the data all shows too, just the need for more individuals in the workforce to support our growing older adult populations or individuals with disabilities with direct care or personal care. And we've contracted with Public Health Supportive Services as the program manager to oversee the project. So it just kicked off. So currently in the phase of just doing a lot of research and, kind of seeing what might be working in other parts of the country or some, best practices that other states have implemented and things like that. So just trying to gather as much data and information as we can as we launch that. So that's the end of my updates.
So this is Dawn Lyons. Lori, I have a question.
Okay.
Regarding can you give us an example of what you mean by the rest of them are non-competitive awards? Like which ones are those?
I can definitely get that and bring that back to the group.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah, good question. I can definitely follow up and make sure I have a little more specific information to provide.
Yep, very exciting news about the personal care. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited as well. Any other questions?
Thank you. I was gonna say, is there any more questions for Aging and Disability, ADSD?
Looks like Mary Evilsizer has her hand up.
Yes, Mary.
Hi, yes. I want to thank Lori. This is a comment and a question. I want to thank Lori for all the good work she's doing out here in Southern Nevada. We've gotten some really wonderful and useful information from her. And so we have been able to connect with the focus group that's starting up and also with the money that follows the person group that's starting up. And we're excited to have those groups back on board to work to collaborate with for our nursing home transitions. And then, Lori, if you don't mind me asking, do we know when the new vendor is going to be up and going for, I think, the Money Follows the Person project?
I have not heard, but I can definitely follow up with the lead for the Money Follows the Person program and see if I can get more information as well.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We're excited to have them back, both that and Focus. They're a tremendous help to the Centers for Independent Living in the nursing home transitions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Do we have any more questions for ADSD?
Updates and information regarding upcoming events and conferences.
All right, so we're going to move on to updates for conferences that may have been attended or conferences that may be coming up. Dawn?
Yeah, this is Dawn Lyons. I did attend the recent conference at the Santa Fe station that the Deaf Commission was hosting. Maybe Obioma can describe how that conference went a little bit better than me since I was sitting at the vendor table most of the time. Obioma, could you provide a little bit of an overview of that? Oh, she may have stepped away for a second. So from the vendor table, I noticed that there was, we did have several individuals come up to the SILC vendor table, and there were interpreters there to help with discussions and the questions that they had about our council and independent living. And, I was able to provide them information about independent living and I actually was referred a few of them to the centers. So I think overall for the SILC to be there was very successful, and it was important for our presence to be there. And I want to thank Obioma for allowing us and inviting us to participate in that. And it looks like Catherine Nielsen, I know Catherine, you were there too for the Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities. So if you'd like to join in and mention what you got out of it and what you saw, that would be wonderful.
Hi, Don. Absolutely. This is Catherine Nielsen for the record. I'm actually really excited that this is on your guys' agenda. The Deaf Commission Conference that took place in December. As Don mentioned, I saw her there. We had quite a few representatives from other agencies that were there. But the main and outcome from it was really just a reinvigorated spark for the legislative session. So we're really excited to see as many people as we did there learning and being educated on that. And so I think that's about it. We had about 150 people attend for the event.
Yeah, thanks for that extra information, Catherine.
All right, thank you. And is there anything else? Any questions for anyone?
Obiama has her hand up.
All right.
She's saying, hi, this is Obiama for the record. I just want to say thank you for all of you who are participated with the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Commission Conference and when the integration in sorry, I'm going to make you bigger. Hold on. There. Enchantment. No.
Engagement.
Thank you. Conference. So again, I want to thank you all who participated in that. Thank you for showing up at the booth. Don, we saw you there, so thank you for your support with that as well. And again, like Catherine said, we had over 150 people there. It gives me chills for that, just having the variety of speakers that were attending that. There were there who are deaf and hard of hearing who flew in for that day, for the community, people from Nevada. Again, hopefully to see it happen again this year in 2025. And hopefully more of you can participate for that. So we look forward to that. And thank you so much for highlighting that for us as well. So thank you again.
Great. Thank you so much, you all. Is there anyone who has any other questions or comments? Did you get that from Robin Kincaid, Don?
I'm just now starting to read it. Let me just take a look. It looks like it might be a better comment for public comment at the end. So we can revisit that.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we got it because it went across my phone really quick.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so if there's nothing else on this one, let's move on to the Department of Education Disability Innovation Fund. Is there anyone here to speak up on that?
So this is Dawn Lyons, and when Sheena mentioned the Nevada Trip Program, which is also the Disability Innovation Fund grant program that we're working with, I went ahead and gave the update at that time. So it's already been done unless anyone has any questions.
Oh, look at you sliding stuff in on me. All right. If there's anyone else who wants to speak on that or comment. Okay, if not, then we'll move on to item 6. You want to read that, Don?
Sure. So this is Dawn Lyons. It's discussion and make recommendations for federal fiscal year 25 public news stories. They've reached out to us and we did renew our membership for the year, which gives us 8 stories for fiscal year 25, actually for fiscal year 25. And we still have one left for fiscal year 24 that we can provide. But I really wanted to get input from this council on what stories we're interested in them putting out there for us, or what stories we're interested in them doing a little more research or interviewing people on. Is there anything that we as a group have suggestions for that I can tell them to look into, or ask them to look into, rather.
So I know there's a lot to think about.
I
If
this is
give
this
me
is Dee Dee, Core
give me
Master
one
for
second,
the.
BD. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Also, if you guys cannot get, if you guys don't have any ideas right at this moment, you can always email Don or contact Don to suggest some stories so that we can at least have some stuff to talk about it, or to have some suggestions. Okay, Dee.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Dee.
I'd like to see some articles done on the rural areas.
Any specific thing on the rural area, or you just want the rural areas? That's a very, very big topic.
Yes, it is a big topic, but Henry, we could do housing in the rural areas. We could do transportation in the transportation problems in the rural areas. There's lots to do out in the rurals. Lots.
Come follow me for a day.
That's not a bad idea, Margaret. Maybe we could ask Public News to, do a spotlight on RCIL's work and what you guys are up to lately.
I even know everybody because I do the Moses Project and Alzheimer's Association. They've all followed us all the way around. In fact, there is a story on RCIL on a news site that I will have Kitty pull up for me, and I will send it to everybody. But yeah, as you were starting to laugh, as it say the day that I talked to you, oh yeah.
And Mary Evilsizer has her hand up. But before you talk, I would also like to say if we do one on RCIL, I'd like to spotlight SNCIL and spotlight NNCIL as well, just so we have everyone's, what the independent living services look like right now in Nevada. That would be good. But go ahead, Mary.
Oh, that would be a good idea. And it's always an adventure every day at a Center for Independent Living. You don't know what's coming in the door next or what phone call you'll get next. I wanted to suggest, I think that's a good idea. That's my comment on that. But over the holiday period, I found out some good news, and we don't get good news that often, so we try to celebrate when we do. But it might make a good news story. The Blind Center down on Bruce Street in Southern Nevada, they are building a housing development for individuals who are visually impaired. And I think that is one way that one of our disability groups has just finally taken the bull by the horns and said, if we don't have housing, maybe we can create it. Just for the record, so that everyone knows, Centers for Independent Living, per the Rehab Act as amended in 1970, and then as revised in July of 2015, we cannot be involved in any type of housing. That is illegal. So, but when other groups can, we may be able to celebrate them, perhaps maybe with a news article, if the reporter gets a hold of them and they share what's going on with that.
Thanks, Mary. Hovander, you know when that's supposed to launch, don't you?
Well, I do know that we've already started construction on our complex at the Blind Center of Nevada. We are looking forward to having those units done and ready to move into either this summer or next summer. I don't know how long it takes to build a apartment complex, but we did the groundbreaking in September, I think it was, or something like that. But we did the groundbreaking, and the construction is going real well. So I can find out when that's supposed to be ready, and I can update you guys as soon as I find out.
Yeah, you know what, Evander, I could even get together with you outside the meeting and we can figure out who the best person to interview would be for public news service. So,
That would be amazing. So whatever the committee decides, I'm sure that the Blind Center will love for that notification. We just really want. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. We really just want to help with housing for people who are visually impaired, disabled, and we're going to keep going forward, and hopefully we can get a part 2 going, right? So thank you so guys so much for that. Is there anyone else who has any other ideas for newsletters or for stories?
yeah, this is Dawn Lyons. If anyone else does have any ideas, please, like I said, we have 8 more, including the one that's left for this year, for last year. So we got to come up with some ideas. I don't want to have to, put those out there by myself. I really want your input as the council. So reach out to me privately if you think of something, please. And even if you're not necessarily a member of the council, if you have an idea, I can run it by the chair and we can talk about it. So reach out to me if you have any thoughts on that. Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat.
Thank you, Don. Excuse me. That sounds great, right? If you can read number 7, and I'll stop choking.
Discussion and choose recipient or recipients of the federal fiscal year 25 SILC sub-award or sub-awards. So we did, I'm just putting my email in the chat here. We did discuss this at our last meeting in November, and we weren't able to come to a decision because we had or I should say I had neglected to notice that an application had been submitted for the legislative educator from NNCIL. But after the evaluation team reviewed that application, it was not complete based on what's in our state plan for independent living that designates all of the centers for independent living, including RCIL, to collaborate on that effort. And so because that didn't happen, I did send out an email to NNCIL, and I did copy you in, Mary, as well, back at the beginning of December, asking for a revised application that was thorough according to our spill. And again, I reminded towards the end of December as well, and we just never received a replacement application. So the evaluation team talked about it, and we're going to stick with the recommendation that we made at the last meeting to provide 54,000 towards SNCIL's application for housing assistance, and the remaining 80,000 to RCIL, which would include the 54,000 for the legislative educator, since we did know that they had a plan in place as far as that goes as well. So that was the evaluation team's recommendation. So it's going to be up to the SILC what they decide to do with that funding. But I did include as a material the original application that was submitted for the legislative educator, which did not include RCIL as agreed to in the spill. So that's our recommendation. And if you guys think differently, we'd like to have a discussion, that's fine. Or if someone would like to make a motion in that regard, that would be good too.
All right. So is there anyone who wants to discuss anything or make a motion?
Dawn, I'm sorry, but I'm not processing things too well. Could you repeat that for me, please?
Sure. So the recommendation from the evaluation team was to go ahead and go with our recommendation that we had last time, which was 54,000 for SNCIL to use towards housing assistance and 80,000 for RCIL to utilize, including 54,000 of that for a legislative educator that RCIL can direct.
Okay, I have a question for that. Is that telling you that you want myself and Dee Dee to do that?
Well, according to what Dee Dee had discussed with me months and months ago, she had some ideas as to how to accomplish that. And I know that she was interested in coordinating with the other centers for independent living. So because they did not express the intention of collaborating with RCIL, we expect RCIL will collaborate and that RCIL can take on that leadership role for that position then.
Okay, because I am currently working with another organization on legislative training and information and stuff like that. And a poor guy gets it all the time from all of us.
Yeah, that
And I'd be happy to take that on because I do have a lot of contacts within the legislature.
Yeah, and it's in our spill that the 3 centers for independent living, or in name, will work together on that. So we trust that you'll reach out to the other centers and get their input as well, because we know you want to collaborate in that regard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, we will. Trust us.
Collaboration is one of my main goals for this year.
Yep.
And I am sorry I'm such a mess today. I just have had about 101.7 fever for about 3 days.
She's better today than she was last time I talked to her, guys.
Yeah, there's a nasty flu going around, so I know it's pretty bad.
It's bad. I, in fact, had to take one of our clients to the emergency room, and because she couldn't drive, she had 102 plus fever. So yes, I know it is. It's claiming everybody.
All I can say is my husband got a flu shot and he caught it too. So we both have it.
Well, I hope you guys all feel better. Let's try and see if we can get this piece of business taken care of today. Is there anybody who wants to have any other discussion or make a motion on this item?
Would you guys like me to repeat a potential motion?
Please.
So my suggestion is to make a motion to approve the subawards for fiscal year 25 as recommended by the evaluation team.
Dawn, this is Peter Whittingham, and I apologize for not being as attentive as I should have been. I was distracted because of other mandated. But I thought I would ask this question at this point. Can you tell us who are the people on that evaluation team that make the recommendations?
Of course, yes. So it's actually in our policy and procedure manual that the executive team is also the evaluation team, unless one of us can't be present, and then it would be a SILC member in a voting SILC member in their place. So, but since we were all present, it was Julie, Havander, and myself.
Okay, that's right. That's what I needed.
Okay.
Thanks.
Peter, do you have any other discussion on this? Is there
no, my question has been answered satisfactorily, and we can move forward.
All right, thank you.
So
you don't have any discussion on the motion itself or the funds or anything like that?
No, I don't. I simply needed to know the names of the individuals who were involved. That has been answered, and we can move forward. If there's a motion on the table, I second that motion.
We have to get a motion first.
Okay, I'll make.
I thought Dawn was.
Oh no, Dawn can't make the motion.
No,
Okay,
yeah.
so
Margaret can't make it either.
Me
Margaret
neither.
can't make it
Oh yeah,
either. No,
because
no.
RCIL. Never mind.
So we need someone not other than those three people that we just excluded to make a motion.
So this is Peter Whittingham. Based upon the explanation provided by our Executive Director, Dawn Lyons, I so move that this council approve the recommendation as made by the evaluation team.
Thank you so much. Is this going to be a yes?
I, Linda Vejvoda, VEJ, VODA, second that motion for the evaluation team.
Thank you so much. Is this going to be an individual vote, or should it be or can we do an all in favor type thing?
Well, I can easily do a roll call vote if you'd like.
Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, when I call your name, say yay if you agree, nay if you disagree, or abstain if you abstain. Evander Davis?
Agree.
Sabra McWhorter Clark?
Aye.
Linda Vejvoda?
Aye.
And Peter Whittingham?
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to number 8. Don, if you want to read that for me.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to skip number 8 because our Senior Deputy Attorney General, who is going to present agenda item number 8.
Do that tomorrow, right?
Yeah, he'll be here tomorrow. So we'll go ahead and come back to that tomorrow. And if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and read number 9.
Thank you.
That's the announcement of Chair's appointment of council member in good standing for the office or position of treasurer for NVSIL. And that is because Ace Patrick is termed out of our council, and so she used to be treasurer, and we just needed to appoint a new treasurer at this point.
And so in our spiel, is it the spiel? Am I right?
In our bylaws.
In our bylaws, the chair makes that nomination, and Julie has nominated. What was her name? I'm sorry.
Margaret Marcucci.
Margaret Marcucci. So, congratulations, Margaret.
Thank you.
For accepting
I told Don,
that.
yes, I will do this.
Yeah, she had told me. So I was saying thank you and congratulations for taking on that position for us. Number 10.
Discussion, evaluate, and make recommendations regarding progress of action items in federal fiscal year 25 through 27 state plan for independent living as approved by the Administration for Community Living. Can I make a suggestion, Evander?
You can.
It's only 2, but I think it'd be a good place to take a quick 10-minute break and then come back and start going over these objectives.
Sounds like a great idea. So we're going to take a 10-minute break right now because it's 2 o'clock. And everybody go ahead and meet back here at 2:10.
Well, actually, it's 2:07, so we can meet back here at 2:18.
Oh, I thought you said it was 2.
I did. I rounded it.
Oh, don't be doing that. So meet me back here at 2:18. Thank you. And I believe we're on item number 9.
Yep, and I have the list in front of me, so I'll just go ahead and start going through it if that's okay with you, Evander.
Sounds great.
Okay, so under goal 1, the first objective was to build a stronger alliance within the ISLE network and with network partners. And under that, the first indicator was to, with some support from SILC, the ISLE network will hire and supervise new staff contracted position to work with ISLE network exclusively to address disability needs and concerns within the legislative process for the next legislative session. And that indicator 2 would be that $54,000 that we just agreed to give to RCIL to coordinate that effort, they would work to instruct that legislative education initiative. And then indicator 3 would be that they would educate at least 3 legislators and policymakers regarding employment, housing, transportation, and mental health support shortfalls and potential solutions across the state for people with disabilities. So Dee Dee, Margaret, whoever, both of you, I can get together with you after this and give you those topics again if you want, so that you can make sure that you're hitting those spill objectives that we set out.
That sounds great.
And then the indicator 4 under that objective was to provide an additional 20,000 each year so that partners have access to emergency funding for housing, employment, transportation, and mental health supports. And so that was included in our fiscal agent awards so that we can distribute that as it comes up and is necessary. So you guys would just have to reach out to the executive team on that. And since the SILC has already approved that in our spill and we've approved that as an IL network, it's just a matter of priorities and receiving those requests. So indicator 5 under that first objective is in each fiscal year, we'll provide 86,000 to support community services. And so we've done that with 54,000 of that going to SNCIL and the remainder of that going to RCIL. And then the indicator 6 under that objective is due at the end of September of this year. So due at end of federal fiscal year 25. So this year, we'll perform a regional consumer study to determine unserved or underserved areas to determine the feasibility for a memorandum of understanding between centers. We've started our survey. We are including the questions that we needed in our consumer satisfaction survey. So at the end of this year, we'll have both sets of data available for us to evaluate at that time. And with our new youth outreach specialist, we're on track to go ahead and start collecting more and more of that data from rural areas as well. So I'm excited. we're on track, guys. Let's see, as we scroll down here, there's objective. The second objective under the first goal is that will be provided with quarterly updates regarding our subawards. So just keep that in mind, SNCIL and RCIL, that we'll be expecting updates from you regularly, quarterly, from what you're doing with that funding and how that's working for you. And to the next. Indicator 2 is the SILC will provide 30,000 in federal fiscal year 25 and 47,905 in 26 and 27 to support the AT for IL program. And the report will be shared biannually or more often if services or service providers change. So John is going to be providing us with our annual data report from last fiscal year tomorrow when he presents the AT per IL report. So that's going to be what he gives us, will be what we report on our program progress report, or PPR, which used to be the 704 report. So just so you know, that is the data that's going to go into that report that we send to ACL. And then objective, the next objective is to collaborate with and provide ongoing support for youth transition services, employment, and education. As you know, we just hired our youth outreach specialist, Hyen. So we are on track finally to educate rural and underserved communities regarding transition services and to lead the Youth Action Council. Then the SILC will provide oversight and training for SILC's Youth Action Council Youth Outreach Specialist position to coordinate youth transition services with the Youth Trip grant funded program as grant funding is maintained. So that just means that, you know, we'll continue to work with the Department of Education on that Disability Innovation Fund partnership, and the award that we ask for will include the Youth Outreach Specialist position and the travel that she has to perform to collect the data that's needed for that. And then, let's see. The next one that's for this year is the SILC will collaborate with the Employment First Coalition to support at least 2 Voc Rehab sponsored employment fairs in federal fiscal year 25. Just an update to that is the Employment First Coalition discussed this again since we wrote that goal, or since we wrote that indicator, and we've decided that we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we're going to evaluate what job fairs are out there already that Voc Rehab informs us of, and between the lot of us and the Employment First Coalition will come together and discuss that and see where we can help provide help with those services and make sure that, you know, people with disabilities are represented properly at those job fairs and that they have the services they need to be successful at those job fairs. So we still have to circle back around and talk about that, but we're still collecting our observations regarding that. So we'll keep you informed on how that's going. Then, let's see. I'm skipping over the ones that are for following fiscal years so that we don't get ahead of ourselves. But there is one that says the SILC will increase collaboration each year with at least 2 additional community partners statewide regarding legislative issues for disability and IL philosophy, advocacy, education, and outreach. I think we're on track to do that. You know, Catherine has reached out to me personally to talk about the topic of legislative initiatives and in our news stories and things like that. So there's one collaboration already with a partner, and Dee Dee says she has some organizations in mind and that she's reached out to as well, so that we can collaborate on that too. So I think we'll be fine on that objective and indicator. Let's see, where was I? Indicator 2.2.3, the SILC will collaborate closely with the Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities to address education and outreach regarding disability education and legislative issues. So that's just, again, another one that it's kind of repetitious, but definitely we are working on that. And then the SILC will also evaluate the designated state entities' disability services overall. That there's no, it says there was an implied as soon as possible. I'm thinking that the SILC really does want to get that underway, at least that the beginning of that evaluation of that. I'll get that going pretty quick. I'll reach out to individual council members for specific topics or points to look into or to people to talk to, because I think that should be a group effort. I don't think one person should come up with the recommendation necessarily, or, you know, or an evaluation. I think all of us really need to be involved in that. So I'll reach out to you individually on that. And then in the under objective 3, the SILC will improve our internal processes for spill evaluation. One of those indicators say all conference attendees will report on pertinent learned material or takeaways to the council by the next corresponding quarterly meeting. And so that we really just specified that because in the past we said that we would be updating everybody at the annual meeting. And sometimes if our annual meeting is at the beginning of July, And so the NICL conference, or the National Council on Independent Living, is at the end of July. So if we waited until the next annual meeting, it'd be like, I don't even remember what happened at that point. So just the next quarterly meeting is what we decided to go ahead and rephrase that, so it made more sense for the council and it was more relevant and timely. And then at the end of each fiscal year, the SILC will review our consumer satisfaction data to determine any specific causes or improvements. In other words, we can evaluate what might have caused an improvement or what might have caused something not to improve, right? So we want to take a deep dive at those issues that we come up with data for and really dig deep into them to figure out why. And then with the other current quarterly updates, the federally funded Part C centers will provide SILC with updates regarding services to consumers and consumer trends, which Mary did today, and possibly maybe Lisa will come back tomorrow and provide that for us tomorrow if she's here. And Dee Dee has also provided that information. So Objective 3.2, the SILC Resource Development Plan will be evaluated for effectiveness. And under that, there's an indicator that says there will be continued efforts toward the application for ongoing grant funding. As you know, I've been working on submitting our application for our 501c3 status, which has been submitted, happy to say. And so once I hear back from the IRS, I can go ahead and then of course I have a report that's due to the state in March regarding our officers. So there's just some, background technicalities that, I understand that I have to complete to maintain that effort and for us to become a 501c3 or a nonprofit. And so while that's going on, we will continue to keep our eyes open for available grants that we may potentially be eligible for or that we might want to apply for. So keep your eyes open, everyone, because it takes a whole team. Sometimes there's a lot of opportunities out there. Just keep your eyes open and let me know if you find one. Let me see if someone has their hand raised here. Obioma?
Yes, hello. Yeah, this is Obiama for the record. So I'm wondering how that impacts or influences this council.
You mean our 501c3 status?
Yes, that.
So it opens up the possibilities for us to have more opportunity for outside funding. We can apply for any grants that would not necessarily because we can't provide services, right? But any grant opportunities that we could provide education to the public for people with disabilities, anything that's in alignment with our own goals and objectives in our SPIL, we can apply for those types of grant funding or grant awards. And then, we would be, I know that it will also help the Youth Action Council once they get up and rolling again. Because I know of a lot of small youth awards that are out there that could really help them establish, a strong foundation for what they're trying to accomplish as well.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so how does that influence the people, like the state workers on the council here? Because I know several people here are state workers. So would it kind of overlap or at conflict or that kind of perspective, or how would that work?
That's a good question. So actually, because we're under federal regulation and the federal guidelines have specific direction in that the SILC can utilize state staff, it doesn't necessarily have to change anything. But in the future, it may be something that the SILC might want to do if they do receive enough funding, additional funding, that they could go ahead and at that point decide if they wanted to hire their own staff.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you so much for explaining that.
Any other questions about that? Okay. So where was I?
I'm Don. I'm sorry. This is Peter.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a question. I may have missed it, but did you circulate the application for the nonprofit status to other members of the council?
Did I circulate it to the members?
Yes.
No, we don't. I didn't circulate it because it was just the application. Once we receive word back, once we receive our status, I can share that information with the council. I mean, it'll all be public information if we become a 501c3 anyway.
In our application, did we talk about the composition of the nonprofit organization, including potential board members and officers in the organization, or that is stayed until they respond to us?
So I don't know if you're aware, Peter, but the application through the IRS, it's a little bit different than it was even from the last SILC that applied, that they allowed me to review their application. So what I did was I reviewed several different SILC's applications, and based on those applications, I was able to answer our questions appropriately, although some of the questions differed because, IRS does change their questioning and their formatting a lot. So I believe that when I did have to provide officer information, I did not have to provide information about every council member at this time, but I did provide information about the current officers, which was what was asked.
And so that's maybe my question is the composition of the officers in the organization will still be our executive officers, or would it be an election process for members of the board and executive officers within that board?
So that was actually explained earlier, that it's in our bylaws that the chair and the vice chair are elected by the council annually. And then the treasurer and the secretary are appointed by the chair.
I understand that. My question was whether or not those positions would be automatically transferred into the executive role of the nonprofit organization as it is now configured, or would there be a separate kind of expectation for staffing the board and also the process for electing or appointing members to the executive team as a nonprofit organization?
So in the future, we could look at changing that structure, but as for now, we're keep maintaining our federal guidelines, the way that we have them and as written in our bylaws and in our policy and procedures. So to make it simple, right now, we're maintaining our own structure that we have in place, if that makes sense.
Yes, and that is consistent with other SILC across the country that has transitioned from the state to a council to a nonprofit organization. That's a question.
The only reason being is that they usually hire an attorney to do that for them, and so they wouldn't want to change anything at that point, so the attorney can easily execute what they need to do. But in our situation, I just wanted to ensure that we're keeping it simple as possible, so that we can establish the status that we need to, and then if we'd like to make changes at a future date, we can discuss it.
Okay, thanks.
Obioma?
Yes, sorry, my last question for this is Obion for the record, sorry. So can I ask a question about the list for the Secretary of State of the office? So is it just the four for the executive, the president, vice president, the treasurer, and the secretary? Is that it?
Correct. As of right now, those are the only officers that SILC has.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm almost done with this list. So,
This is Dee Dee Formaster for the record.
okay.
I just want to say, Dawn, congratulations on getting that done. It'll be wonderful when we do become a nonprofit, which should have happened years ago. So I commend you for getting it taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee Dee. You know, we actually this council was actually a nonprofit several years ago, prior to my coming on board with the SILC, and that status had lapsed, and so it was a little challenging actually to get us going again because I had to reference an EIN number that we no longer used and I didn't have my access to. And so it was an interesting process, but so it did take a little bit of time. So I appreciate the acknowledgement for the work behind that. Okay, so the next thing is the SILC will research any other grant opportunities each year and apply for additional funding if possible that may apply toward our spill goals, which kind of goes hand in hand with, you know, opening up to continued efforts toward online opportunities or other grant opportunities. But to evaluate it each year, I think we're actually going to evaluate it each quarter since we're going over this list every quarter, and we're really going to make sure that we're evaluating our spill every quarter like we should be in detail, because this is what we're here for. And I know that in past years, because of the formatting of how we would evaluate our spill, it wasn't really as well detailed before. And I'm hopeful that the way that I have this list laid out this time, it's going to help us to be a little bit more thorough moving forward. So under objective 3.3, the SILC will establish further efforts toward council autonomy. The first indicator that applies is a memorandum of understanding will be reviewed and revisited for any necessary changes between SILC and the DSE to establish more detailed autonomy by 9/30/2025. I was thinking that would be a good thing to have at our annual meeting. That maybe we could meet individually and have discussions with you. You know, I could have individual discussions with you. The chair could have individual discussions with each of you. And we could kind of, you know, come together at that annual meeting and discuss what kinds of ideas we thought of and how we view our memorandum of understanding and if there could potentially be improvements made. And then Indicator 332, the DSE will follow federal guidelines regarding SILC staff supervision according to council policy that is consistent with state law as defined in the updated memorandum of understanding to eliminate any contradictory or confusing information that exists in the 2021 MOU. And so, of course, naturally, that would come after we have a discussion and make any changes to the MOU that need to be made after that time. But that still could happen within this fiscal year. So I just wanted to mention that. The next one is the SILC will evaluate the effectiveness of its relationship with the DSE and make a determination by September 30th of 2025 regarding maintaining the current DSE or establishing a new DSE by the end of this spill, which would be September 30th, 2027. So there's a lot we wanted to discuss, and we wanted to make sure we put it in writing in our state plan so that we were following our state plan, but that we're being very transparent about what our concerns are, what we think we need to evaluate, and what we think we need to really take a deeper dive and look at harder. Make sure that that we're functioning optimally, and that other agencies are functioning as optimally as we are. And that's the whole point, is that we all can work together, hopefully, and figure out what works best. So the next one is SILC staff and council members will be educated or re-educated regarding the SILC policy and procedure manual regarding the code of ethics by 9/30/2025. And I'll be reaching out to each of you to go over the code of ethics again, just because it's a good idea to continually review those and make sure that we remember everything that we have promised to regards to representing the council. So we've had some minor things come up in the past that were like, oh, I didn't remember that, or oh, I didn't think that applied, or that just people not really understanding or remembering what those code of ethics were. And so it's just a good idea to review, right? And then the last one is on my sheet here, is the DSE will support the council with staffing after legislative approval of our budget request, which includes 3 full-time positions that are paid for by the state. And that would help us tremendously, since we don't receive innovation and expansion funding. We don't, a lot of other SILCs do. We're at a bare minimum, like everyone else in this state, for some reason. And so, while we're working at creating innovative ideas and working towards solutions to that behind the scenes, in the meantime, we have to work with what funding we have. And so we've asked for the 3 positions to become full-time with the SILC. We have shown that the need is there. And if the state agrees to fund those positions fully, then that will free up some of our resource funding for other things that really are needed. And then we could accomplish a little bit more, since we have such little to give to the community that does the service, that provides the services that are so needed. So that was our thoughts behind that when we created that spill indicator. And that's the last one. It doesn't have a due date on it necessarily, but legislative decision should be made by July. So hopefully we'll have an answer as far as, whether or not those positions are going to be approved or not through legislation. So that's it. Does anybody have any thoughts, or does everybody agree that we're on track? Does everybody feel like this is a clearer way to evaluate our indicators and where our stance is on our goals and where we're at in accomplishing them?
I think it's a great.
Go ahead.
Wait, was that
somebody else was speaking? Go ahead.
Oh, this is Saber McWhorter Clark, for the record. I was just going to say that I agree. It's a great way to evaluate and keep on task with what our goals and objectives are. So I appreciate it.
Thanks, Saber.
And I was about to say the same thing, Havana Davis, for the record. That's a great way to keep us on task. So thank you.
Great. And if you guys think of anything as we continue to go through these lists each quarter and really go ahead and go into the weeds of what we've set out to accomplish, if you guys think of any ways we could improve this, let me know. I can always adjust this list somehow if we need to. So
I do have a question though, Dawn. This is Linda for the record, Linda Vejvoda for the record. You said that you were going to interview all of the members and one-on-one, or is that just something I misunderstood?
It's not necessarily interviewing. It's we're going to have individual discussions. We're not going to make any determinations outside of the council meeting. Just individually, just to talk about what our thoughts are, so that we can bring those thoughts back to the whole council, and I can make an organized list of what everyone has thought, and so that we don't forget when we come back and meet again that we have a list of things that we actually remember to discuss, and then at that point we can make a determination as a council as to how to move forward.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Is there anyone else with any more questions?
I don't see any hands up.
All right. Well, then we'll move. Is number 11, is that supposed to be, is that one that we're doing with John Rosen, or?
That's correct. That one is for tomorrow.
Okay, what about 12? You want to read that one?
Sure. That is discussion, review, and make possible recommendations regarding the federal fiscal year 25 budget and future conference plans. So I did attach the fiscal year 25 tracker as it currently stood when I posted it, which doesn't have a whole lot on it yet, because we still have fiscal year 24 subaward that is being spent down till that was extended till July. So we're still spending some of fiscal year 24's money, but we do have some regular bills or invoices that come in that have to be paid in the current fiscal year. So that's mostly what's on our tracking sheet right now, is our payments for our website maintenance and our payments for our ASL services and transcription services and things like that, that basically have to be invoiced in the current fiscal year. So and honestly, it takes a little time for the state to actually make those payments, and then for them to show up on our tracker at times. So it's not always up to date necessarily, but it's so early in the fiscal year technically that, and we just did receive our second deposit towards our grant, so we have a little bit more of our funding available to us. And Aging and Disability Services Fiscal has put in for a work program to allow us to have more access to funds in January as well. So we're on track, and we have funding available that we need, the funding available that we've promised. So we don't have any issues right now as far as what we can and can't do. There's nothing that's holding us back from doing our work. I think that's all I really had to say about that. But if anyone has any questions about the budget, I'd be happy to answer them. I do want to mention we have a very small budget for travel in this fiscal year as compared to last, because as you might remember, last year we had a glitch happen. I'll just put it that way, where we had some additional funding available to us for travel. This year we do not have that, although we do have the Disability Innovation Fund award that will help pay for a lot of our youth outreach specialist travel. So really, a lot of our travel budget is definitely going to have to go for my travel, so that I can travel with our youth outreach specialist to begin with, at least to ensure that she's not, being thrown out there by herself, and I can train her properly and we can work together. So some of that budget is going to go towards that. But there are regular conferences that come up that I know certain people really are interested in going to and are attending. And I will reach out to you guys individually to let you know, as we get closer to those dates, what kind of funding we have available for your travel, and if you're going to be able to go to those conferences. But if you have specific ones that you would like to attend and you have a really good reason, reach out to me and we'll see what we can figure out. So, like the Nickel conference or the April conference, those regular conferences that, are can be important to attend if you're, especially if you're a new SILC member, to go to SILC Congress or, something like that, so that you can familiarize yourself with networking with the other states and, what our jobs look like federally. So, if you would like to attend SILC Congress, or, if you're a new SILC member and you feel like that would be really helpful, just reach out to me. We'll figure something out. I have
Great. Is there anyone else who has any more questions about the budget? You were saying something else, Dan? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say the SILC Congress is in March, so that one's coming up. So if you're interested in seeing what nationally SILCs are doing, and you're pretty new to SILC, and you want to attend that conference, let me know quick so we can get your travel arranged, and I can let you know what dates those are exactly. I want to say this is the 10th through the 13th, but don't quote me because I'm not looking at my calendar and I'm dyslexic. So reach out to me. I'll let you know exactly. I'll look at my calendar. And then NICL is in July, the National Council on Independent Living. And then there will be several local trips once I find out what those are through the Department of Education for Hyann and I to tag along with local education agencies on, or the book rehab, depending on who's going to be the youth outreach specialist, because we really want to work together on those things. And then there is a brain injury state of the state in October that if I can come up with the funding, I think it would be important at least for one of us to attend. If, I don't mind going if no one else wants to, but I think that, in the past, we've had some objectives that were related to traumatic brain injury, and the state still hasn't been able to secure that grant from the feds. So we don't have a specific TBI program in the state. And, it's something that we know there's a shortage of. There's a barrier there for our consumers. So that is something that I'd like to see if we can at least squeeze in. But that's all I have.
Great. It looks like if we're looking at the agenda, that some of the things that we have left is maybe would be best handled tomorrow, or do you want to keep going?
Yeah, no, actually, Evander, everything else that we have, it looks like it, there's some standing agenda items that we do every day, our public comment, our introductions, if someone is attending one day and not the other. And then we have NNCIL who wasn't here today. Maybe they'll be here tomorrow, and John's report on the AT for IL program and agenda item 11. And then of course where is it?
What is that, 13?
It was
topics for next month. Next meeting.
Oh, the number 8, agenda item number 8. Yeah.
So if it pleases you all, we will reconvene tomorrow after we do the second.
We do have to do one more public comment.
I was just gonna say, after we do the second public comment. So
okay.
If you would read that thing that we have to read.
Okay. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 1-253-215-8782 US Tacoma. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 929-904-1434 and passcode 707401. Comments will be allowed at the beginning and end of each day and will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Persons making comments will be asked to begin by stating their name for the record, and to spell their last name and provide the secretary with written comments.
Thank you. So I know that Robin K put something in our chat. If she's still here, we would love to hear what she was speaking about.
Robin, did you want me to just read your chat, or would you like to go ahead and speak your public comment?
I'm going to assume she wants you to read it.
Oh, gonna say the same thing.
So Robin Kincaid posted in our chat to everyone. She said, "I don't know if the SILC is interested. Perhaps you could have someone present in a future meeting." Sorry, emojis popped up and I couldn't read it. Perhaps we could have someone present in a future meeting on the AB 259, the phase in paying minimum wage to persons with disabilities. This legislation will be phased in from January 1st of 2025 through December 31st of 2028. And honestly, Robin, that's a great idea. And Catherine also offered to reach out to me to talk about that and possibly make that one of our stories for public news service as well. So that was a good suggestion. We can talk about that more outside if you have an idea of who you might like to see present on that, or if there's someone that you think is an expert.
We definitely appreciate that comment, that participant comment. And I don't know if you want to try and reach out to her or if she can reach out to us, but that would be great. We really appreciate the collaboration with Robin Kincaid and Nevada PEP. So thank you so much for that public comment. Do I have anyone else who has public comment?
Catherine Nielsen has her hand up.
Yes, Catherine.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Vander. This is Catherine Nielsen for the record. I am just making note that the registration for the Developmental Disabilities Awareness Day at the Nevada Legislature is open for anybody that's interested in attending. We will be having a training on March 3rd and then our Awareness Day event on March 4th. I'm going to put the link in the chat for more information, but if you don't have access to the chat right now and you just go to our website, you will find the link for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Is there anyone else with any public participation?
Yeah, actually Lori posted in the chat about having the answers to the questions we were asking earlier. And I believe now would be a good time for her to go ahead and share that information, if that's okay.
Thanks, Dawn. Yes, this is Lori Lutu for the record. So the question about money follows the person, and if a vendor has been selected, yes, a vendor has been selected for that, and we will be providing more information forthcoming. And then the second question about some examples of non-competitive funding opportunities. So for this year, some examples are some of our supportive services, so ancillary services, caregiver, evidence-based services, food security, in-home services, homemaker, transportation, and also our CAS youth services and equipment distribution. So kind of the way it works is they would be considered non-competitive because they're in a subsequent year of an original funding grant cycle. And so depending on how long the original grant was for, it wouldn't be the start. So they're either in the second, third, fourth year, etc., depending on the length of that. So those are just a few examples of some that are continuing on and not open for competitive this year.
Thank you for that, Lori. I appreciate that. Makes total sense now.
Okay. Thank you.
I really appreciate you, Lori, for getting back to us so fast on that. I thought that at the most you would have it for us tomorrow, or maybe our next meeting, but you are on top of your stuff, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else with some participant, any more comments? That's like a tongue twister to me. Anyway, anyone else? and hearing. And Don, do you see anyone?
I was just scrolling through the chat one more time to make sure I didn't miss anyone, but I don't see anything else, and I don't see any other hands up.
All right, hearing and seeing none, we are going to adjourn this meeting until tomorrow. You guys are out of here just a little bit early. Don't expect that tomorrow.
Actually, we probably can.
Well, you probably can, but I don't want them to expect, I might get on there and just start talking a long time. Anyway, everybody have a great day, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Meeting adjourned, right?
Thanks,
Yep,
everybody.
meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.